Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. You'll see my new setup here again. I know it's been a couple weeks. I've been like so burnt and busy and can't get out of my own way and blah 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 blah. Anyway, so here we are. I'm going to do a little bit of a different reading today. So I put a post up on Instagram talking about this. But I've been drawing here and there my own interpretation of a tarot deck. So I do post sometimes on YouTube, but on Instagram more. I'll put up pictures of it and stuff like that. So when I was doing that, I started just randomly drawing on the index cards. I'll show you this one. And they're just random. Actually, I'll show you. I have the photo album here. So what I've done is once I realized, I was like, hey, these kind of look like photos, right? I started, as I was called to draw them or came up. I can't explain it, they just come into my head like they're almost like snapshots, right? I draw them. Oh, I had another one. It's not in here yet. So these are the ones I've drawn so far. I have another one. And I figure they're coming from someplace, right? I don't know what they are. I don't know if it's someone's, like a snapshot of someone's, like, memory or... But I feel like it's kind of a glimpse of something. And what I decided to do, this one was really kind of calling to me to dive a little deeper into it. And as I was drawing, because it takes me a while, because I take my time and I'm wicked picky. So some things that came through while I was, actually drawing it was, stop trying to see things from other people's perspective in an inappropriate way. It's impossible to do in the circumstances that you're doing it in. It's only further damaging your self-esteem. You end up beating yourself up for not knowing or not being able to figure out something you never can, you never could. That's not fair, and it stunts your growth. I'm very empathetic. I'm an empath, a literal empath, but I'm empathetic anyways. And I do try to see things from other people's perspectives a lot, but I get this. So, also, it's, I'm getting like, you're wanting attention, but also you don't because you're anticipating negative attention for some reason. I'm just going to plug in my other lights real quick. So, that was kind of coming through as I was meditating with this picture. And, I thought that was pretty interesting. Yeah, and then, trying to predict an outcome. gives you this sense of having control or like doing something about a situation that you can't really physically change or anything by planning on what you would do. But that's what you do. That's what you're doing. You're planning what you would do instead of taking like a step back first and creating the steps you need to do to get to the starting point. Like you keep planning about what you're going to do when you start, but you need the plan of how to start. If you don't start, you can't fail. And if you never fail, you never learn. And if you don't learn, you never grow. And it's just like the simple process of things, really. But people don't realize that, and you get stuck in your thoughts. You don't realize it's actually impacting your whole life. You become stagnant. This is what I heard, is you become stagnant in the calm waters of ignorance. That was impactful. So the advice here when I was listening was, instead of trying to predict it, just do it and record the results. That's how scientists and whatnot do, like scientific predicting. It's based on prior results, which is why you probably have this issue. It's not an issue, just, part of what you're working through. So, this morning, as I was, kind of meditating on this, doing the pre-shuffle and everything. This is your pre-shuffle collective. So what I'm feeling for whomever's energy is calling out to me with this picture, the first thing I got with this is that, and again I put this on my Instagram, is that this is somebody's Saturday morning view, right? To me, this picture off to this side is going to be the television, and the person is sitting facing this way on the floor, like crisscross applesauce, and they turn their head this way. What is coming through is, it's coming through very masculine, so this could be for an actual male, but I don't necessarily think so. We talk about this all the time. It can be masculine or feminine energy coming from man or woman. So it's either going to be from a man or it's going to be a female who's very much in their masculine energy. And what I mean by that is like you handle your shit pretty much. You're the emperor, man or female. From this experience you went through, this is your root. This is why you predict. I think whomever this is has mother wounds. I'm particularly getting mother and not father for this one. I think you have a mother who either had mental health issues at a time maybe when they weren't addressed in the best way that they are, well, kind of now, or a mother possibly with a drug addiction. That's hitting me even more so. Or third scenario, most gentle of them, is you just had a single mom who had to work an awful lot, like multiple different shifts, overnights, regular, and whatever the case may be, this mother was unavailable. And to a kid, it doesn't matter why they're unavailable. You're unavailable. Whether you're sick in the hospital, whether you're, you are on drugs, whether you can't deal with life right now, whatever the reason it is in your reality, it doesn't matter. That kid just knows you're not there. There's no justification. It's just, you're not there. And they have to figure it out. And I think you had to figure it out. And I think you did. And I'm getting you're either the oldest sibling to have this sense of responsibility and like maturity enough to take it on, or the only, and you had no choice because there was no one else to do it for you. And I think because of that, I think you worked hard to get everything you've wanted so far in life. I think you have worked hard. I think you seem to come off as pretty stable, steady. You might not even know this bothered you, because I'm kind of getting like this might have been resolved, or it might have been, just a hard patch, short period of time or something like that. I don't think the relationship is the same, or it didn't. I don't want to say get better, because I don't think you knew anything was wrong, and I think that's what this thing is you don't think anything was wrong, so you don't think anything was wrong. She was just doing the best she could, or blah, 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 blah. All the things we say in hindsight now that we're adults and we have empathy for, like, our parents, But this did affect you, and it did kind of predict the trajectory of how you were going to go. I think you are very independent, but I think your wands and your tenacity and your never giving up and the heaviness of that is now cutting you. Now it's getting so heavy it's cutting you, and you don't necessarily understand why. I think you have this kind of like empty spot, and again, I think it's confusing to you because you don't understand why, because I think your mom loves you, but I think you have a very strange image of what love is supposed to be. So when you navigate it with other people, whether it's close friendships, not superficial ones, or whether it's relationships, you're not quite great at navigating it, right? The Ten of Cups, you want the happiness, you want the happy home, but you're not 100% sure how to really put it together and make it work. And I think right now, again, I think you've worked so hard. I think you have money in the bank. I think you're like, I'm never going to feel like this again. But I think in your head you have it as a poverty thing, but it's not. It's an attention. It's in soothing your heart is what it is. And you all this time building your independence and your stability financially, you're like, why don't I feel like I can take a breath and be okay? So you keep going towards these material goals, and that's not what it is. So you're calling out to the universe, like, why am I not happy? I have everything. I'm victorious. I have a good friendship, but I still am looking for this. And that's what you're trying to navigate, is how to I think trust somebody, because I think in the back of your head, I think the person you love the most, you couldn't depend on. So I think subconsciously you're going to just assume you can't depend on anybody, and so you haven't. But love, it's a kind of a different thing, and to kind of let that down when that's how you feel, it's very hard to train yourself to do that. I don't know if this is what the whole reading is going to be about, but it seems like you're kind of questioning now, like, why don't my relationships look like other people's? Why can't I get to that deeper connection? Why can't I just leave and be fine? So let's see what the cards have to say, what we have to talk about today. But that's who I'm getting this from. Again, I think you're smart, I think you're wise, I think you're experienced, I think you've taken care of yourself. I'm not saying you're making multi-million dollars in some, Fortune 500 company. I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, for you, you're comfortable, you're good. Can it be all relative? Sure, if this is where you're coming from. And again, I'm not saying your mom didn't love you. No, I'm saying she had her own issues she was dealing with that affected you more than you might know. And I think you're protective over her, so you probably wouldn't even admit it. Because I think you justify the way she is because of what she's been through and how people treat her, so you try to treat her extremely kind and extremely understanding to make up for the hurt she feels from the other people. But I don't think you've ever told her how you felt when you were waiting for her to get up, wondering which mom was getting up. So you were like, oh, I can't wait till she gets up. But then you're like, oh shit, she's up. Right? Yeah, like, I wish she would get up. But then you're like, oh, the longer it gets, like, why isn't she up? And then you hear her, and you're like, oh shit, she's up. And then you wait and see what kind of day it is. Okay, Spirit, thank you. Now we know who we are talking to. Let's get a couple of opening messages here. What's the vibe of the reading? What do you want to tell this person? Or these people? It can be interpreted however it connects for you. You know that. Let's just slow down a minute. Thank you. Okay. I feel like this is a lot of confirmation from the pre-shuffle. So the Ten of Air, you're ready for this to end. This constant goal after goal after goal after goal and working. And you're looking for some balance. I feel like you think you're doing something wrong. You know, if you stop, I feel like you think it's wrong to do. Because if you don't do it, no one else will. You know, equal give and take can also be learning how to equal, you know, with another person. Not so solo. Yeah. And like I said, the temptation I'm getting for this, I feel like it's, you feel like there's something wrong with that, or you're feeling, or something like that. Like it's wrong for you to want to, like, share the responsibilities almost with someone. Like, I'll just take care of it. Well, that's because you know it will get done. I think even with all the best intentions, I don't think you think people do it purposely. I think you just don't think people are going to think things are as important as you do, which is true. But I think you take it to the extreme with good reason. Alright. Yeah, this is a lot of emotion. This is definitely, I think, yeah, I think you've come along, and I think you may not have had any or many, like, long-term, serious, live-with-the-person relationships. Maybe a couple. But I think even then, I think where for most people a relationship like that would be, you know, intense and pretty serious, I still think it never got below surface level, really. But I think you adapt well in whatever situation, so you're just comfortable. Wherever you hang your hat is your home, pretty much. Or you can be. You can be. But to the other person, it's like they're feeling this whole, you know, cute, this is a big step, we're living together, it's all this emotion, and I think you're just like, well, and, you know, sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's as big of a deal for you, but I don't think it's ever talked about, so there's a big, what is this gap, you know, between what you think the relationship is and what the other person might, and that's just I'm not pointing this out as a fault or anything bad. I'm just laying down what I'm seeing. So right now, the situation is, I think you're trying to find out why. I think now that you're at a place that it's like, I don't know if you're assessing, I don't know if you're in a relationship, I don't know any of this, but this is what's going on in your heart. It's like you're assessing why you love the way you love, or why you perceive emotion and things like that the way you do. Like, why, I think. And I think you're kind of going through your toolbox and being like, okay, well, how does this work? How does this work? Really looking into it for some reason. And I don't know if there's somebody maybe there's someone who you think is like worth this look at it, like this feels different. Something has like triggered you to figure this out, because before there was no reason to. It wasn't affecting you, right? To make you even realize something was wrong with your love language or whatever. This is a hard one to explain. Yeah, and again, the Ten of Cups again. That's 3 times already. 3 times already, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So that's what you want. But I think you're afraid of your spouse too, and you want to make sure they're not going to make your kids feel a certain way if you guys have kids and stuff like that. I think it's a whole package thing. Like, you are very, even if it's inwardly, very cautious of not making the same mistakes. So the challenge, the obstacle, the Ace of Cups, yeah, I think it's learning to give, really give, and really receive love. Again, I don't think it hasn't been a big deal up until now. We've been fine with whatever relationships you've had, to what capacity. You're fine, you're taking care of yourself, you know what I mean? Action recommended the moon. The moon, that's the ruler of your emotions, pretty much. It's a card of Pisces. It's very emotional, very fluid, very dreamy, whatnot. So I think what, as an action recommended, what the moon is saying is look into those emotions. Don't just stop once you feel something. Kind of like let it keep going and see what comes out. See what comes to light as you're digging into these memories, and listen to your dreams. And this is something that's good that you want to do the work on. So I think this is saying, yeah, dig deeper into it, see what you find. And the possible outcome is, yeah, you're gonna be confused as fuck. For sure. I think you're gonna, all these little cups are gonna come out. Boop, boop. And I think it's gonna be a mixture of things. I think it's gonna be like, oh, well, okay, this is why I'm like this. Okay, this is why I feel this way about things. But I also think different areas of love. I think it's like different cups for you to like figure out how to fill. And I think this is a mixture because it can be confusion, it can be illusion, it can be stuff like that. So I think you're picking apart things and you're like, oh, that's why this person was like this, or felt like this, or that's why this thing. I think these are all little instances of relationships throughout your life, and you're like, oh, I get it. This is why I couldn't commit to this person, or this is why, this person was so emotional and I couldn't understand it. I think picking through it and seeing what becomes illuminated, yeah, it's gonna cause more confusion, and it's gonna cause more things for you to open up and get through, but I think it's good. Awesome. Let's see. Thank you, Spirit. Let's get a little clarification here. Yeah, and again, the bottom of the deck says the Ten of Cups. That's the underlying thing for everything. Is just your happy family, happy ending, ultimate, you know, peace and love. And, you know, creating that for, you know, whether it's just you and like your spouse, or your future kids if you have any, or your kids now, or your grandkids. You know, there's no age limit to learning. It's too many. So we'll see. Okay, Spirit, please tell me about the Mage. You can hear my cat out there probably now, and I'm going to let her in a minute. Four Swords. Yep. You know, you rest and rejuvenation. Maybe you had someone confront you about your ways, and you're like taking a minute to kind of like think about it, meditate on it. Knight of Pentacles for the obstacle. Yeah. It's been, yeah, it's slow coming. And you're wondering, like, so, what's happening? You know, which that could be making you question if you have the tools. And this made you question. Like, why is everybody else around me, like, in these relationships, or getting married, or blah, 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 blah. And you're like, And I think maybe now that there was like a glaring mirror, like you got a mirror put in front of you somehow. Maybe it's someone who you were really good friends with, and you're like, holy shit, why does your life look so different than mine? And we've been friends all along, we've done the same things, blah, blah, you know, something like that maybe. Tell me what the action recommended. What is this moon? Ooh. Upside down. I don't usually get reversals, so I take them when I do. Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, you are with the moon going back and kind of evaluating things, and things starting to come to light, and you're learning the secrets behind the ways you are and whatnot. You are discovering that Queen of Wands in reverse is very, very domineering, very harsh, probably harsh with their words, quick. This is someone who has said some choice things to you. Your mom might have a quick tongue. Because this is, again, we're talking about, this is where it's kind of coming from. Yep, and I don't think, maybe even to this day, I don't think you don't feel like you can go to her and talk to her about this. You're like, nope. No, again, you love her, and I think you will defend her to the end, but I think there's just, you cannot go and be like, hey, you made me feel like this when I was 6, and she'd be like, and? Get over it. Something to that point, like, are you kidding me? But you're sensitive. She is not. And this could be, maybe a grandmother raised you. Whomever is your mother core is very harsh, very cold, very stoic. But I definitely think she loved you. I think it was a product of the environment, a part of what she was going through. Again, whether it was mental health, or drug addiction, or whatever, you know, if she's a single mom, which that's what I'm getting, she's probably hurt and bitter towards that, you know, there's probably a whole bunch of things going on. Now that we're adults, we understand our parents are human, and that's not our fault for what they project on us. Yeah, but, if she's, I think she's still like this though. I think she's very bitter, and I think she's sad, and I think she's hurt. And I think it's just gotten worse over the years because that's what she's put out there. But I think you have to understand that this is where it's coming from and stop protecting her so much. I think that's part of it too. Okay, and the possible outcome, please. Four of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. With all these things popping up that you're now realizing you need to address with your emotions, I think the Four of Pentacles is great. I think that's your like, because you have made it a point to be the opposite of a very irrational, emotional, like, erratic person, you are now able to intelligently be like, objectively look at all of these cups that you just found, and you're like, ugh, and kind of sit down and take one and go through it. And that way you're kind of building your emotional foundation in a way, because you're kind of like, okay, well, as long as I understand why I'm like this, it's gonna make it easier. You're very intelligent and practical and rational, and very in control over your emotions, to the point you can decide whether you want them or not. I think you can be like, well, this doesn't make sense, I'm not gonna do this, and shut it off. That's trauma. That's not discipline. That's trauma. It can be a blessing because of what you've gone through. Being able to do that is great, but it's not something normal people do. Normal, I say loosely. Eight of Pentacles again. Can we all talk about the repetition in my cards? Because it does happen a lot. Well, we have the Eight of Fire here. We did have the Eight of Pentacles earlier. Yeah. With the pre-shuffle. And yeah, we did. Okay. So Eight of Pentacles on the bottom. I think you know you have your work cut out for you, pretty much, but it's worth it. If ultimately you're able to heal and learn how to let someone, I think maybe someone actually loves you. I think someone actually is showing you actual, genuine emotion, maybe, and it's weird, it's strange, and you don't want to, like, ruin it. So you're like really stepping back for a second, like, hold on a minute, this person's different. This is making sense, and I want to find out why am I trying to run away from this? And there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. You might have someone who you're like, I don't hate this person. I don't feel numb towards this person. I don't feel nonchalant. I feel something. I think maybe someone sparked you, which is strange for someone who doesn't have a spark, right? What is the situation? Tell me about the Mage and the Four of Swords. Yeah, you're assessing all your tools. Like, okay, so how did I get this tool? Why does this work for me? You're very much self-assessing and trying to figure. It's just crazy. Don't do it too much. It's good that you are. Whatever this is, it's good that it made you look at this, because I really think you'd be like, everything's fine, I'm fine, I have a good job, I have a couple good friends, I have a nice place to live, checking off all the boxes, and meanwhile, you're a robot. Boys and girls, we have the Seven of Cups again. Yeah, something popped up to make you go, wait a minute, why do I do this? What is all this? Yeah, you're assessing your tools, assessing your emotions, your patterns, your, everything. Every relationship you've ever had, you're kind of looking at. How did this one make me feel? What did I do with this? Oh my god. Oh my god. The Magician, you guys. The Mage, the Magician. That's crazy. Yeah, and I think along the way you've been trying to manifest a love into your life, right? And it's taking so long, and that's the issue. And I think that kind of triggered you too. Like, what is wrong with me? Why is it taking so long for this love to come into my life? You know, time is a ticking, I feel like you're thinking. So the situation is like, you're taking a step back, you're meditating, you're assessing, like, what tools do I have? Are they broken? What are all these things? And you're assessing all these things. The challenge or the obstacle is figuring out why you putting your love out there. You know, why can't you manifest in a decent love? It's so confirming. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. Alright, action recommended. It's crazy. Eight of Swords. This tells me, I feel like it's family business. So as you are kind of figuring out, I think you have a bad relationship with women. Yeah, I think you have a bad relationship with women, man or woman. If you're a man, I think you only go so far in a relationship, and you're like, well, they're gonna fuck up soon. You know, something stops you, you know, and this is what it is. It's, all of the patterns that were instilled with you, but you can't talk about them, right? You've always been taught not to talk about it because it's family business. So that's what you need to talk about. You need to talk about it with this Queen of Wands in reverse and be like, this is fucked up and we need to talk about this before you die. Right? Really, just even if you're able to say, who cares what they say? You need to say whatever it is you need to say. And I'm not saying be mean. I'm not saying you don't love them. I'm not saying you don't like them. I'm not saying you don't have a good relationship with them. But this is a thing. And that needs to be said. Because these have created all these instances that's coming up that happened with this Queen of Swords in reverse. These are all the swords she's trapped you with and kept you inside of your head like you're not good enough for whatever reason, and it's not true. It was her mental health or drug addiction or, short because she's working all the time, But as a kid, you don't understand that. So I think there's a lot of communication issues, but I think she's very strong. And I think you feel like a little kid still when you're around her. You have to unbind those ties. You don't need her to be like, I think she does tell you you're a great kid and everything like that, and I think that's why it's even harder, because I think she walks around like she's clueless that this is a reality of what your childhood was like. Again, I think it's like not like that anymore. I think it's completely different. I think like if you have kids, your kids would never think that you went through this with grandma, or you know what I mean, this feeling. So I think it's a very hard situation, and it's almost like, why do I bring it up now if it doesn't matter? It's not doing anything. She's fine, I'm fine, because you're not. You're not. And I think you don't want to bring it up because I think you don't want them to make them feel bad either, because they're not that person anymore. I think this has so many layers to it. But I think it's fucking you up with your relationships, and I think you're realizing it. That it wasn't just, oh well, it was just when I was a kid. It's fine. We're fine. I think the soothing and the passing off of everything has just, you've never purged it. And it is affecting you, because you can't get close to anybody. And you don't know why, because it doesn't seem to make sense. Like the only thing in your life that you feel like you're chasing, even when you're in a relationship, I want to say this. I don't know if you are now or not, but I think even when you are, you're not emotionally there. You go through the motions, I think, and I think this person, the people you've been with, think you are, but there's nothing behind the eyes. You're just going through the motions, hoping that it will take, right? Like, if I'm with this person long enough, eventually I'm going to feel something, right? No, but I think this new person, you're like, oh, is that what it feels like? Is that what this one's supposed to feel like? Yeah. So now you see the difference, and now you're like, wait a minute. And that's prompting the investigation into your feelings, when before you didn't need to. It wasn't affecting you, right? There was no issue. These are a lot, and I usually don't take them, but you know what? It makes sense immediately, so I'm going to. So for the possible outcome. Yeah, I think you are proactive. I think you are responsible. I think you are an adult, and I think that's why this is action being had. This is what it looks like when someone's taking action and trying to figure out their problems and not being a victim and waiting for somebody else to take care of it, right? Okay, so let me tell you. So the possible outcome is, yes, you see there's something wrong with the way you give and take love. This is a disturbing thing for you in your life. So it's like you had no clue. So I think this is a little life-shattering. I think you're going in and you're trying to find out why it is. So you're a little closed off right now because you're like, I don't want to hurt anybody else. Now that you're realizing you are, or did, or you don't want to like put effort into something that's fruitless. And I think by picking apart all of these things that you're finding the answers to, You know, it's bittersweet because all these memories and realizations are coming up, but you're like, no, I need to figure this out because I can't go through the rest of my life with this superficial love and relationships. So it's causing you to look at things in a new perspective. And I think that's great. I think that's great. And I think that is causing you to then build an actual healthy foundation of emotional maturity that you need to be able to communicate with somebody properly, and not feel like your words don't mean anything, or how to take what they say at face value and not think they're gonna disappoint you later on because the other women in your life have. If you're a woman, it can be the same if the spouse is a male, but I think you have for a woman, I think you have a strange relationship with other women. I think you don't get along with them. I think you are a tomboy. I think you have mostly male friends. And the only female friends I think you might have is the spouses of those male friends. Yep. Maybe 1 or 2 from when you were in school that are the same way as you. I was like that when I was younger. I didn't have a lot of like female. Well, I think maybe I had more than I thought, but I projected. I was like, I don't like other girls. And I don't have a reason to be like that. Although I kind of did. We'll get into that another day. And bottom of this deck, Knight of Swords. Yeah, you're taking off. You are going to what you want. Part of you, what you are, is you make a goal and you go after it. And I think that's just what you're doing. You have this enlightenment. You have this new way of thinking. You have this goal of bettering yourself, and helping your mental health, and it's all there. And you're going forward, and you're like, yes, I figured it out. That's awesome. So you may not be a possible outcome in it. You may not be all gung-ho. You might just be figuring out what the hell is going on. But that's what's going on. It's you got mother wounds and childhood stuff you need to get through. Just, what usually happens is you start going through this stuff and realizing you have to when you hit trauma, or when you hit difficulties. And I don't think maybe you have. Like I said, I don't think you're rich. I don't think anything like that above and beyond normal. I think you've had your share of what other people might cause trauma, but I think you're so calloused and you didn't realize it that you just kind of push through shit, and you're like, well, and that real worldly stuff doesn't affect you as much because you don't have the emotion attached to it because you shut them off so long ago. You're just too intellectual. So if an issue arises, you just automatically go into like, okay, well, how do I handle this? You're very calm and practical, which is why I think you've never had to actually assess this. You've never had to. It's never come up until now. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. You don't know. When real love hits, it hits. And you are a 12-year-old no matter how old you are. Yeah. Alright, I'm going to pull one of these cards and see what I get from it. For your little oracle message, I think, from Spirit. It's not easy, you guys. It's not easy, especially when you think you were normal, or like you're realizing some of your emotional baggage, like really where it came from, and all that stuff. Self-work is so hard, and until you have motivation or like a perceived reason to do it, you won't. You will not, because it hurts. And you're like, well, I don't really have to deal with that because it's not really affecting me. It will. It will come up somehow. This doesn't seem like it's too bad. It just seems like, what is going on? I am a well-rounded, successful, normal individual. Lotus flower unfoldment. Yeah. I think this is almost like this is like a rebirth of your emotions. I think that you haven't had all the time. I think you've been pretty even, mellow, blah, blah. But that's just because you didn't have emotions to deal with. So the lotus, it comes out from the murky pond water, and it needs all of that muck and bacteria and slime and all of that to grow into a beautiful flower. So without all of this, and somehow you've managed to stay pretty balanced throughout your life, which is awesome. That's genetics. That's when they say, like, okay, are you a narcissist by nurture or nature? Yeah, your nature, I think, was strong enough to help you battle the nurturing you had, which is great. But I think you're ready to be a little bit more gentle. Again, man or woman, I think that, we go through these periods in life when we're like, I don't need love. And we don't necessarily need it right then when we're busy and not thinking about it. But we do. We need people to be kind to us and love us, and we do. So I think that's where you're at right now. I think you're a little flower floating along, looking for your other flowers, maybe, and learning how to be a little more gentle. This person must be pretty special to spark this, because I think you're floored by what real emotion feels like. And I think you thought you were in love before. I do, and I don't think it was. I think it was a almost like an obsession. You treated it almost like a goal instead of attaining it. Love is supposed to overtake you, not in a bad way. You're not supposed to go get it. It's supposed to envelope you in it. I don't know, it's just supposed to, it is all of a sudden, and I think that's what you're finding out. I think you were like, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be a circus, it doesn't have to be an explosion, I don't have to feel like I'm gonna throw up when I'm around this person. This is very calm and peaceful. I think I love this person. I think that's what you're seeing, but it's too easy. And I think that's confusing too. You don't have to prove yourself to this person. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be anything. You're just floating around like the little flower you're turning into, and I think they love you for it. And you're like, why? I haven't done anything yet for you. And you're like, well, you don't have to do anything for me. I just like being around you. And you're like, what do you mean you like being around me? Maybe not so literal, but inside, I think you're like, I don't think this person really likes me. Even though you have no reason to think that. And I think that's what prompted you. Why am I so afraid of this person? Why do I not trust this person? This person is giving me no reason to not trust them. And I'm already like, yeah, right. Well, my friends, good job. Realizing that something was awry and looking, and don't obsess over it. I don't think you are. I think you could. I don't think you are yet. Don't obsess over it. Just take it for what it is. And just be responsible and acknowledge it, and don't go hurting people now, right? I think you might be thinking of that too, oh shit, is this what those other people felt like for me? So you might be going back to them too. You might be thinking of them. I don't think you actually had the empathy about you to realize if you did, hurt somebody or break somebody's heart. I don't think you really understood what they felt, because I don't think you felt that ever. I think you were too little when you had to stop being disappointed by people. You know, you can't turn off your emotions only to bad things. Maybe for a little while you can, and you can still be happy and joyful, but eventually you just become monotone. It's just vanilla. Okay, well, my friends, like and subscribe if you're feeling my vibe, and I'll see you on the next video. I hope you have a great day.